Just like any other year, Crunchyroll is like making people go, okay.
This is your somewhat weekly Otaku podcast. I am Bravoida, the Waifu Brush. We have the Bo 69, the Edge Master.
Yeah, greetings, my my fellow hentai subjects.
And on the right side, we have GetOmerHere, who is the Deconstructor.
You guys can't see it, but I am like bringing my glasses closer to my eyes and they have like lit up anime stuff.
Oh, damn, I didn't know you even wear glasses.
I don't, that's the thing.
Glowy eyes.
Just like any other year, Crunchyroll is like making people go, okay.
Yeah, I kind of I looked through their selection. It's like not bad, but so solar.
Exactly, right? It's like it's each and every year. They always have this polarizing award thing, and people are always like, their subscriber base is like, oh, that's so cool. But then everyone else in the anime industry is anime fans and whatnot are just like, what the fuck, guys?
I know, right?
Yeah.
But as long as it's not as bad as the Game Awards, I think it's not that bad. But
I mean, it could be, because if you remember, like, I think, what was it, 2 years ago? When My Hero Academia was like the only winner of everything. So that was essentially like what happened with the Game Awards system.
And Crunchyroll did again with Yuri on Ice, remember?
Yes, yeah. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna fuck it up this year too.
Yeah, it looks like Jujutsu Kaisen is dominating.
But I actually get why.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good show, to be honest.
Yes, amen. Yes, it's just that it's overly dominating. There should be plenty of other categories.
Yeah, that's the thing. So how's about we like just start things off by just discussing this goddamn thing?
Yeah, I think we already have, so sure. According to plan, huh?
Yeah. We're gonna go all the way starting from, not anime of the year, let's go from Best Fantasy. Alright, so in Best Fantasy, their nominees were ReZero, Dragon Quest Adventure of Dai. I didn't watch this, not gonna lie. Decadence, Descendants of the Bookworm Part 2. There was a Part 1. Dorohedoro, and then you have Tower of God. So what are our thoughts on all of these selections from last year?
Okay, like obviously ReZero won. I mean, you can clearly see the clear winner. But I'm actually kind of shocked that Dorohedoro actually made it to the list.
Really? Yeah. I'm kind of tied between the left side three. I'm tied between ReZero, Decadence, and Dorohedoro because the overall acoustics of the graphics and everything was kind of decent. Actually, very spot on.
Like the three that are on the right were mostly like the people that are fans of Dragon Quest only watch that stuff. And then when it comes to like Tower of God, it received like such mixed reviews when it came out. Yes, it had hype, but it was met with so many mixed reviews, and I think the whole having the worst girl of the year in the show helped to bring it like to this thing in the first place, this nomination. But I agree with like Poe, like the three on the left are pretty awesome because all three of them are like completely different fantasy worlds, and unlike the concept of isekai where you get teleported to the stereotypical mage warrior whatnot world where you have to defeat a dark lord, Dorohedoro was a breath of fresh air when it came to like fantasy world.
Yeah, the tree on the right, it's how to say it, it's like the theme has sort of been done before. It's in line with what has been done before. However, the three on the left, well, Decadence and Dorohedoro, that's breath of fresh air. The concept is similar to previous animes, but yeah, the whole art style and the genre, it's Dorohedoro I kind of like because it's a mash between comedy and horror. That's on my take on it. But
I just love the fact that Decadence's studio is called Studio Nut. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I think if we because we're in this genre, I think we're like talking about like world building stuff. Yeah. So Decadence, I mean, we've seen a lot of anime that kind of fall into that scenario, like the whole isolated, like, how we isolate the humans and there's a bigger power that's like daunting them and whatnot. In terms of like world design, like the aesthetics and stuff, Decadence and Dorohedoro kind of are like in that same rusty type of look and feel to it. So I think like Decadence would be like the bottom tier of this left. Then would come Dorohedoro, and obviously like ReZero I think is a clear winner here.
For me, it's like the reason why I think ReZero would top this list would mainly be because the story is going somewhere. But when it comes to the other two, Decadence and Dorohedoro, the story is just initiated.
Yep, that's true. From my point of view, I would go with Dorohedoro, Raise Zero, and then Decadence. Because Dorohedoro, there's still yes, they are still introducing it, but they've already held your attention and caused an intrigue. And of course, the whole graphics, it's beautiful compared. It's slightly above average for its concept. You see it like a whole random mesh of things, but in a way, it creates a bit of its own fandom intrigue. The next one, Raise Zero, of course, they still have my attention. So yeah, the storyline is coming along and still horrifying to watch. So I have high hopes for that there. Decadence, same thing also. I kind of have high hopes for Decadence. My only hope is that it doesn't take a twist like Attack on Titan, as in it turns out into a history of war. Apparently, I'm hoping it's just humans against the creatures. Not that there's anything wrong with Attack on Titan. That's its own area, which is awesome, by the way.
Alright, cool.
So I think one last thing I would just put out here is like ReZero has a very vast world. Like, it's not just about one scenario. Unlike Decadence, I'm not sure about Dorohedoro, but they're like just longitudinal in like one sense. We only have one plot that's going on. Like in ReZero, we like have like Reinhardt's scenario, which we don't know anything about, the assassins and the witch cult. Like, there are like a lot of small worlds in this huge world. So, and like obviously the chills and creeps that it provides, I think no other series has done that.
Yeah, I agree. It's just that ReZero, just to add to what you said, is like you've already crossed that hype factor for it, and now you're at that stage where you're like, you want to know what's gonna happen.
Yep.
Right? Now it's like going towards like, okay, let's kick the story up a notch. For Decadence and Dorohedoro, they were like we discussed, they were a breath of fresh air, and you're like, okay, let's see where this goes. But it's more along the lines of, we just started playing the game, the tutorial just finished.
I'm just sad about the Echiiness Tower of God. Those anticipated.
Who the fuck cares about Tower of God?
My only downside on these three is just that on my area, there's basically zero Echiiness. Unless Dorohedoro, unless you're into like buff women, like super strong women, I kind of like that. Right. Appealing for the niche. Raise Zero is, I would pass down to Mr. Brush. Yes, Raise Zero will more fall into your category in terms of waifu.
Yeah, would you actually say that ReZero is technically a harem?
It is.
It is, right?
It is. Season 2 is at least.
Feels like it, right? Yeah. Except for like Ram, who just completely hates the dude. It's like I've seen Sundare's, but then she is like on a level of like, never gonna put up.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on to the next category. The best couple category. This one was actually, I would say, because I've seen like most of these anime and love the chemistry that they created between the couples that you have over here. I was quite surprised that I had such a difficult time figuring this one out for voting. Personally speaking, I would say that for me, the Tonikawa Over the Moon anime, it's cute and stuff, but then, it gets annoying for like, particularly for me, like who's a guy who's already married and stuff, and I'm like, okay, dude, you're married. Fuck the girl already. What the hell? Why are you holding her hands? Big whoop. and then like in the opposite tier, you have Beastars, where they're like two furries that are just like, hey, we shouldn't be fucking, but let's fuck.
Yeah, that's a furry factor there.
I don't even think that's a furry factor anymore. That's like straight up like bestiality factor right there.
For those who watch it, not the actual characters, but the people who actually watch this.
True. For me, I think the one pairing that didn't make sense to me to be on this category, even though it's a romantic anime and shit, was Rent-A-Girlfriend's couple that they showed. The chick is cool, but the dude is a complete piece of shit. He has like no chemistry with her. She's the one that like meets him more than halfway. So I was just like, okay, that does not make sense. Inspector was just more like, your average, hey, will they, won't they sort of a deal. But for me, Kaguya-sama Love is War was on epic proportions. I think those two are like the clear-cut winners for me, to be honest.
Unfortunately, for me, Kaguya does not have the epic proportions that I so desire.
Oh god.
How dare it die?
The Edge Lord speaks.
Okay. So who gets your vote from all of these?
I'm curious actually. I want to know.
Yeah.
Who did you vote for? You couldn't skip it. You had to vote.
I'm biased in the sense that I would vote for Love is War, but the rest of the shows, I mean, like, is there any actual Echiiness? Rent-A-Girlfriend might have. I just haven't followed it. Dude, I haven't seen Rent-A-Girlfriend. What, is there any Echiiness in that one?
There is.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Beastar.
There is Echiiness in there because you have like the beach episodes and stuff like that, and then like bumps into a girl, panties are there and stuff like that. All that stuff is there. And the thing is that the guy, it's a bit different in the sense where the guy, whenever he thinks of, for example, his ex-girlfriend, he's always like, oh, she must be fucking right now, as opposed to, oh, she's romantically with someone. The images that he sees is of her being fucked. So there's Echiiness inside there, and Beastars was etchy as all fuck.
That's my question. There's Echiiness in Beastars.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten around to it. I'm not a furry. Over.
No, the thing is, regardless of whether you're a furry or not, the concept of Beastars is pretty interesting. It's kind of like Zootopia, but on like steroids.
Ooh, okay. That actually sounds intriguing. We'll check it out.
And it has that edginess to it where it takes like, because you're talking about predators and prey, right? And then it goes into like the dark side of things as well. Because like predators eat prey and stuff. So
it's weird.
Yeah.
Mr. Brush, what's your take on it?
Okay, so I've seen like a few of them. Tonikawa, like what Omar said, you just get on with it already. So that didn't get my vote. Beastars is furry, so I mean, we just have one brush stroke and you like get the whole thing. It's not much complexity in the waifus and whatnot. My next life as a villainess. This show is basically if we have ReZero and Subaru actually knew all the answers.
Oh shit.
So yeah. Now the plot was very interesting, but how they took it was like, could I gone more interesting with it? Like if they even were like 50% to what Love is War was, this could have won actually, but didn't get my vote. Rent a Girlfriend. I mean, I just despise this protagonist. Like you were actually right, Omar. Like Shinji does not compare to this fucker.
Yeah, A-grade piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean he's actually like, if we play Nier Automata, we have this guy 9S. This guy is like times 10 him.
Yeah, and 9S was annoying as fuck.
And his gameplay was even horrible. Anyways, Inspectory. How are they even in the list? I'm actually kind of curious myself.
No,
like,
it's basically like they needed a sixth couple and they were like, that kind of counts, right?
Does it? We already have a lot more. Do we? Or we don't?
We have reoccurring ones. Like My Hero Academia was within like 2020, but then there was nothing romantic that happened in there, so there wasn't any couple thing.
Yeah, what about that? The one that's similar to Romeo and Juliet's story, the one with the witches, New Crusade to a New World or something like that.
Yeah, I think that one lost points because of its sheer ratings. Like, it was like pretty low rated.
Although yeah, I think this show actually was popular enough.
Yeah.
So I guess I think that's why it made the cut.
And biggest thing that we're like missing is that this was on Crunchyroll.
Of course. Then it's in the list.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
Right. So guys, my vote is for Kaguya-sama. Where are you guys tossing in your vote?
Kaguya-sama, obviously. There is only one couple. There is only one couple in this list.
Yeah, we are all in agreement. It's just that chest is still as flat as Sekigahara after being raised.
Look, she is like in my top 10, so you don't say anything about it. She's perfect, all right?
Pecha Fett. Still Pecha Fett.
All right. So, best couple aside, then we got the best score. This, in my opinion, is... The issue is that all the scores that I liked for the anime that happened like last year they came in really late, so they can't be categorized as 2020. Like the only one that like straight up I would say would be great from all of these would be The Great Pretender because man, it had freaking Freddie Mercury in. So what would you guys vote in?
Okay, so I haven't actually watched Tower of God.
You're not missing
anything. Okay, awesome. I watched God of High School. I don't think I actually had that good of a score in it compared to like Great Pretender. Actually, that's what I wanted to see about that show. And yeah, it actually did. I think it's gonna win.
Japan Sinks might be a really strong contender because its score was more, it told the story more. Great Pretender was just like, yeah, that's a banger. But like Japan Sinks was like, oh, like it literally set the mood for you.
But then comes the question, how many people have actually watched Japan Sinks?
Japan.
And compared to like The Great Pretender, and if anyone actually looks at the VA of it, the voice actors and the cast, that is actually a banger. So I think bangers would win.
True.
But however, I think over here I actually voted for Japan Sinks because I didn't watch Great Pretender when I voted.
Oh, damn.
What do they mean by score, by the way?
The original soundtrack for it? It's just that none of them really stuck out besides Great Pretender for me because it had that really awesome song from Freddie Mercury. That was the only reason why it like really stuck out.
The soundtrack, yeah. If it has Freddie Mercury, it has my vote. I'm me so disappointed. This list lacks so much etchiness.
How can music be etchy? Never mind. Don't answer that.
It can. It can.
Don't want to answer that. You do not want me to answer that.
Well, okay, but imagine this. If right now, instead of one of these categories, right? Instead of one of these anime, right? You had Attack on Titan on. Clear-cut winner for me.
Clear-cut winner. Clear-cut winner.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Best comedy, Poe. This is where your expertise come in.
Best comedy.
So I'm surprised that Misfit of Demon King is in comedy. I guess they weren't taking themselves seriously.
That has some decent waifu and ecchi material.
Yes.
I'll say Mr. of Demon Academy. Yep. But yeah, my vote would go for Kaguya-sama Love is War, unfortunately.
Why unfortunately? It had a good song, bro.
No, because in terms of comedy, yeah, it's pretty good for a comedy, but it's not epic comedy.
I disagree. I mean, it is epic, man. Like, what are you talking about?
Like for me, it was like Chika was like, dude, fucking hilarious. Kaguya-sama herself was fucking hilarious. The annoying new girl that they introduced was annoying, but she was really hilarious too. And the reactions that the president guy used to have, and the guy that looks like Bravoida in the anime, the emo haired dude, they all were just so fucking hilarious. I mean, yeah, for me it was like, it wasn't as raunchy funny like Prison School or Grand Blue, but for me, like, not even just comparing it to the rest of the funny anime of this year, this one just like was a clear-cut standout. It was pretty solid of a funny show.
True that,
the of a titan of comedy, basically.
Oh. No,
that's what
I don't agree with that. It's not the Attack on Titan of comedy.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
it's not.
It's more of a how do I put this? Because it's like, it's not above average. It's good, but it's not great in terms of tone. Like
Yeah,
if you were to have like the all-time greats, I wouldn't say that this is on the top 5.
Yeah, it's just that no. I mean, yes, Kaguya-sama does stand out as a comedy above all else within the year. It's just there hasn't been like one episode of it that has got me laughing until I'm almost crying.
That's true.
That's the only thing. But otherwise, yeah, it's funny as hell.
Yeah.
It's just there's nothing that stands out in terms of comedy wise.
Yeah, I guess like
how to say-
the thing is that Kaguya-sama does like get my vote for this too. For me, My Next Life as a Villainess, it was a cool concept and everything, but I didn't find it funny at any capacity.
Ouch.
Now, as the waifu brush,
Okay.
now there are 2 actual anime that are actually about artists. What's his name? The one at the bottom, Kaku Shigoto, and Keep Your Hands Off Izukin. Now, these 2 are like a really good, on paper, they're like really good shows. The idea is very nice. Like the bottom one is actually about a hentai artist who has a daughter and he doesn't want her to know he is a hentai artist. Now, on paper, this should have worked like hell, but the pacing was so slow, it got me bored.
Oh, that's just...
dude, that is sad when an anime about hentai can't keep you interested.
Exactly. Like, I mean, this is basically my reflection if I get married. Like, this is a future that I might have. And I see it so boring. Like, why?
Actually, the premise itself, it would be a clear-cut winner, but I haven't seen it. So, but according to you, it's quite boring. That's a shame.
Yeah. And one on the top, to Keep Your Hands Off, Izukin. Like, this is actually a good show. It's like pretty decent enough. Actually, I would say it's the second contender over here in this list.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. You guys should watch it. But obviously, it's not as good as Kaguya-sama Loves War. Again, the problem with the villainous thing is like it had the same problem as Kaku Shigoto. That Kaku Shigoto took it like even more drier approach compared to what My Next Life as a Villainess was. And who watched Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle?
No one. I didn't watch it. No, not at all. No, I mean, like, I saw like a couple of episodes of it and I was like, so this bitch just sleeps, huh? Okay, cool. But there was like I'm not gonna lie, there was a bit of relatability in her where like every morning when you have to like get up for work and shit, I was just like, I wish if I was just finding a nice pillow. Anywho, so now comes the exact opposite of comedy, the drama category. So we had Fruits Basket, Japan Sinks, Beastars, Great Pretender, Sing Yesterday for me, which pretty much made a lot of people cry, Somali and the Forest Spirit. So for me, I think intensity-wise, Japan Sinks was like, it was uncomfortable to watch. Not in the sense of like I didn't want to watch it, but it was like I was like if I was in that predicament, I would like think that this is like the end and shit. When it comes to like Beastars, I don't think that it has that much gravity in terms of drama. Maybe because they're animals and I can't relate to them and their problems. And when it comes to Fruits Basket, sorry. I watched season 1. I was like, okay, cool. Season 2, I saw a couple of episodes and I just like dropped it halfway. I was like, I'm not ready to, like go through that, down that rabbit hole again. And Great Pretender, I don't think that it's much of a drama as it is. It's more of a fun adventure in my opinion. And Sing Yesterday for me was like, it was just like, I was just watching like a couple of the episodes and I was like, yeah, this show is gonna like make me cry by the end. So I'm not gonna watch this. I'm good. There's like other shit that I need to watch.
For me, I'm not sure about Japan Sinks, but I would say my vote would definitely go towards Fruit Basket because of its history of gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
It is emotional trauma in the making. That's why I'd say put it as the top for drama because it's traumatic.
What about you, bro? What did you?
I think I vote for Japan Sings because that's like the only one I watched at the time. Again, with Great Pretender, it doesn't really make sense why it's in the list.
Yeah.
Because it's not really drama. I think Rent a Girlfriend could have made a better contender.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, yeah.
It could. It's gonna be either Japan Sings or Sing Yesterday for me. But again, like I didn't watch the whole thing because I knew I would cry like a bitch.
Now you guys want to know something really funny? So at the time of me voting, I didn't give a shit about this category. And what happened was I hadn't seen like Japan Sings, not even a bit of it, or Fruits Basket or Sing Yesterday for me. I was just like, whatever, Beastars, and I voted for Beastars over here. So I feel bad. For the other guys.
Imagine Omar, if they actually showed the results that Beastars actually won by 1 vote.
I'll be like, fuck. I'll just be like the Witcher in the corner going, oh, damn it. What did I do? Mm-hmm. Okay. Question to the both of you. When it comes to like drama anime, right? How important are the ecchi parts of it and how important are the waifu parts?
In terms of drama, to me, echiness is important overall in anything. Yes, it plays a part in comedy and drama. It creates an underlying tone of taboo, in which it invites drama. It can start drama. It can even end drama. It's echiness. It has an overtone for overall.
It's profound.
So the way I look at echiness in drama, they show like this incompleteness that you're like, want to see more. Again, like how the poet said, like it's very important for everything, and that's how I see like echiness. Like it's like baiting you to like the best girl. So in a way, you could say like if there's no echiness, you might not find a waifu.
Whoa.
And if I make
that was deep.
Well, unless you're into psychotic bitches, then I would recommend Fruit Baskets. Over.
Right. So moving on to the best fight scene. Now, sadly, this was a pretty fucking hard thing to vote on for me because I had seen most of these fights. And I thought that most of them were cool except for the second God of High School fight. I was like, okay, whatever. Because for me, like Brawler versus Master was expertly done, but then for me, it couldn't hold a candle to Deku versus Overhaul because it had My Hero Academia has that thing where it like hypes you up in every fight and every like last blow that's about to hit, you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, you're like at the edge of your seat sort of a thing. But then God of High School had like the most fluid animation that I had ever seen in fights. That was until I saw Jujutsu Kaisen. And I was like, fuck off, God of High School. Yes, you're about fighting and whatnot, but you're not as memorable as Jujutsu Kaisen's fight. And for me, that was amazing. For Sword Art Online, personally speaking, I felt that they could have chosen a different fight instead of the one that they have over here. The Berkuli versus the Dark God Vecta. Like, they could have chosen one of the Kirito's fight towards the end. That was a lot better, in my opinion.
Personally, I'm a little biased. I would go with the Sword Art Online fight, the Bakuli versus Dark God Vector. The whole appeal of that fight actually was the whole struggle. I saw the fight between Kirito and Dark God Vector. I mean, it was more of an air battle, whereas Bakuli versus Dark God Vector, that was a bit more skill-wise, and the struggle was real. Especially at the end when you saw Bakuli die, it brings you to tears.
For me, it was like maybe because I wasn't as invested in Berkuli. Probably why? Because not enough screen time as like the other for example like Asuna's fight with Dark God Vector was pretty cool too.
Yes, it was.
Right?
That's only invested into Asuna. Bakuli, yeah, not much invest, but if you were really objective to it, Bakuli, you need to have a second look at Bakuli versus Dark God Vector in terms of its fight scene alone and compare it to the rest of the fight scenes. The only other comparison towards how good it is would be what was the other chick? What that chick, the night chick with the thin sword.
Right.
And the guy who only fought with his fists. I forgot what tribe he belonged to.
Yeah. For me, it was
badass.
I do agree with let's say the animation for the Berkuli versus the Dark God Vector was pretty amazing as well. But again, for me, it was the investment factor. I found Asuna's fight against him a lot better in the fact that she wasn't able to overcome him because all hail Lord Kirito. And so I was like, it was still a really solid fight. There was a lot of emotion in there. Berkuli, yes, there was technical aspects were there and whatnot, but then for me it just became okay, technically sound fight. I don't care about either of these two guys.
Yeah, that
Asuna, it was a force that someone that you've been watching for so many seasons trying to overcome, and she's not able to overcome.
True that. Second would be the Jujutsu Kaisen, so Satoru Gojo versus Ryumon Sukuna, because honestly, it just showcased Gojo's whole OP level shit.
Holy flying fuck, that was OP as well.
I mean, his power is just unfair. It's it takes, it operates based on, contradiction factors. It's infinity internal. It takes the way he fights. His technique is transcendent on a different level.
Yeah, it's like a proper way of doing an OP character. So for me, it was Jujutsu Kaisen that got my vote for this one. Though for me, the close second was Deku versus Overhaul, mainly because of the hype that it created. And then I would say that probably the Sword Art Online one wins for me. So it'll be that will be my top three. But again, Jujutsu Kaisen is the one that got the vote, and that's all that matters for me. What about you guys?
For me, Sword Art Online first, second, Jujutsu Kaisen, third, it would be Hero Academia because Deku Overhaul. You just love that when the girl finally got saved. Yeah, that satisfied everything.
That smile, it was just that was worth it. It was pretty solid. What about you, Bravoida?
For me, it was My Hero Academia first. Obviously, I haven't watched Sword Art Online because I watch it for only reference reasons. At the time, I didn't watch Jujutsu Kaisen. I haven't reached up till that point yet. And the reason why I didn't vote for God of High School because there are two of them, so I'm cheating. You're not getting my vote. That's literally the reason. I have started watching Akuma Drive, but I haven't actually reached that part yet.
Okay, for a person that is a connoisseur of waifus, I'm quite surprised that you don't watch Sword Art Online because it's predominantly waifus.
In all honesty, in my area, if in terms of Akudama Drive, I would say if the doctor fought that police chick, then it would definitely get my vote.
Yeah, that would be a.
So you guys are suggesting me that I should actually pick up Sword Art Online and start watching.
I mean, for me, knowing you, I would say that watch it if you don't have anything else to watch.
Yep.
Noted.
Right, that was best fight scenes. To be honest, this year was pretty apart from the ones that we just talked about, which were pretty bloody awesome. I guess the anime as a genre has been evolving so much that the best fight scene is no longer who's gonna be nominated. It's just oh yeah, these guys are nominated. Because back then it used to be nearly every anime used to have a solid fight scene that you could talk about.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on to the best character design.
I did not understand why Great Pretender was in the list. Why? They're just normal people. I mean, I don't know. There were a lot of other contenders here. But then again, they were reoccurring seasons. So maybe that's why they didn't make the list. But then again, still, I don't think Great Pretender should have been here. Then you had BNA, which yeah, that makes sense, like why it's in there if you're into furry and stuff. And that one below, actually haven't watched it, so I can't comment on it. Tower of God, again, why is it there? It didn't get my vote, and actually, thing is, I mean, like honestly, it's like just normal fan art. I mean, honestly, like anyone could have made these characters.
Yeah, they're
Because
really
we're just talking
basic,
about
right?
design. Yeah, they're like really, really basic. Then the other one, like it kind of makes sense, and obviously my vote did went to like Keep Your Hands Off Izukin, because like even though like they are like really simple, but they're not basic designs. Like obviously in terms of these. Otherwise, if I wasn't to furry, BNA would have got my vote.
For me, the one that actually did get my vote, and I completely agree with you when it comes to Tower of God. I was like, dude, this is stock anime character design. There's nothing cool about this. I was actually tied between the toilet bound, whatever the hell it's called, and BNA, because I saw both their designs. I love their art style because they're like different. Like BNA has a bit of that Gurren Lagann-ish feel to it, but on a, I wouldn't say cyberpunk, but on a very like different level, I would say. So for me, BNA was my winner, not because of like the furry part of it. I love the human designs that they made, and I love like the other designs. Like for example, when the wolf dude turns into the full on like wolf version of himself, that was so cool to look at. It was like a product released by Razer. It was just glowy as fuck. So I just loved like BNA, and it immediately like got my vote because aesthetically it was such a pleasing show.
Yeah, Trigger did a really good job.
What about you?
The options are too PG for me.
I knew it.
The only
Great Pretender had asses. I mean, you have that.
Yeah, I guess it would be a tie between the Great Pretender and BNA, but the character list itself is still too PG for my taste. In not just terms of TNA, there's also gore, or I'll say manliness, depend on what's your niche for design. Design wise, I would go with the BNA only because it relates too much to Gurren Lagann.
Mm-hmm.
They could have actually got that anime upping your defense so you can't get hurt.
Why?
I mean, that could have made the list. I mean, it could have replaced Great Pretender. I mean, at least the designs were thought out.
At least the Great Pretender had like a cool animation style. That's what.
No, but we're not talking about animation styles. We're talking about character designs here.
Still, like, yeah. I don't agree. I would actually say that the Great Pretender had like better character design than the other one.
I don't know, man. Like, it was like normal. It was pretty normal. I didn't think it was like.
I don't disagree that Great Pretender was like normal as fuck to look at, but I would still say it was still better than the other one.
Honestly, in my case, best character designer, none of these will compare to what I hold as the top of character design at the moment. For me, would be characters from JoJo. Only because the art style creates the clothes knowingly that the clothes are unrealistically, but in terms of fashion sense only.
But then, which season of JoJo? Because each and every season they had, not only did they like kind of kick it up or like make it very different, they had a very distinct fashion sense.
Exactly.
I think Golden Wind was probably the most fashionable one for me.
Yes, that is the top for me.
Like I enjoyed Stardust Crusaders, but in terms of the like look that is timeless, it was just Jotaro. The rest of them were like basic. Alright, Bravoida, given that you do animation for a living, this one requires predominantly your vote.
So we have Keep Your Hands Off Izukin. It was good, but if you compare it with God of High School, clearly beats it in animation sense. But then you have The Great Pretender, which did have decent animation. Like I would say B+, but not all that great. I mean, I think the aesthetics were much better than the animation. Princess Connect Redrive is also pretty good, but not as good as Jujutsu Kaisen. And I didn't watch Beastar, so I didn't actually put that on board. So obviously, like, Jujutsu Kaisen clearly is the winner here. I don't see anyone voting for Tower of God if they have watched God of High School if they watch Jujutsu Kaisen.
For me, I saw like a couple, not exactly episodes of Keep Your Hands Off Izukin. I watched like a couple of scenes of it, like for example in Gigux videos and stuff like that. I would actually say that thing had amazing animation. Like it takes you out of the world. So I really enjoyed that. Great Pretender was cool animation. Like it had the aesthetically pleasing and smooth animations. I would give it that. Beastars was, for me, it's like 3D is not there yet. There's a long way to go for 3D to look. God of High School for me was fight scenes were animated perfectly, but the rest of it was whatever. Like it's just there. It's nothing that special. Yes, fight scenes. Ooh, wow, big hands off. But then you're not invested in those fight scenes to begin with. So cool animation for what? And for me, Jujutsu Kaisen, whether it was their openings, whether it was that unique closing for the first part of the first season, or whether it was the fight scenes and whatnot, it was a well-packaged thing. Yes, the fight scenes might not have been as cool looking as God of High School, but when you compare the whole show as a whole and its consistency, Jujutsu Kaisen just got my vote immediately.
In terms of animation, if we are talking about the overall fight choreography, I would place the Jujutsu Kaisen as number 1. Number 2 is God of High School. But if we're talking about best animation, as in visually stunning but also smooth flow of the animation, I would definitely give it to Great Pretender. If I were a furry, I go with Beastars. But yeah, visually stunning and smooth, Great Pretender. Also the butts help a lot.
Yes, the butts were a key deciding factor. I do have to agree. Jujutsu Kaisen has shortage of butts. They have more men's abs than they have butts. So butts are sorely missed.
I think it's a pretty much even consensus that Jujutsu Kaisen would be number 1 in anyone's list. Then obviously would come Keep Your Hands Off Izukin. Then would come that depends, like if you want butts or cute anime girls doing cute things, Great Pretender or Princess Redrive Connect. And I think then would come God of High School and then Beastars. Because I mean the whole thing that people say that 3D isn't there yet. Well, I think it was there, just people aren't really doing it. Because there's an anime called I forgot the name.
Illustrious?
No. Yeah, even that was pretty good. Line of Lustrous. And it did a pretty well done job. Actually, you couldn't tell if it was 2D or 3D in some scenes. And these were some wild scenes, by the way. So do watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Now this is pretty interesting. The best director. We have reoccurring ones. You have Kaguya-sama Love is War, Tower of God, Great Pretender, Decadence, Keep Your Hands Off Azukin, and Jujutsu Kaisen. For me, it's Tower of God was whatever. I'm not even going to talk about it. Kaguya-sama was interesting in the form of the weekly episodic content. For me, I wouldn't give it the vote in terms of the director bit because it didn't really build up to a satisfying conclusion in my opinion. It's still hey, wait for next season. Decadence, yes, it was pretty cool, but then there's that overarching factor of it's a bit like Attack on Titan, and it might just be like that. They might just go off the rails with that one. For me, and Great Pretender, as good as it is, it just felt like another episode of Ocean's 11 or another movie of it. So I was just okay, but I've seen it. Heist, okay, cool. For me, Jujutsu Kaisen is a bit different because it's shonen and it's kicking it up a notch in terms of not spending 30 episodes on Planet Namek like Dragon Ball did. And shit like that. So I think for me the clear winner over here is Jujutsu Kaisen because I really am right now if you ask me to just watch one of these, the next episode of one of these, I'll immediately tune into Jujutsu Kaisen because I want to know where it's going.
Actually be on same rails as Omar. That again, Decadence is kind of like Attack on Titan. And Great Pretender, I mean, if we compare it with the other gangster type animes that we have, like Mango's Stray Dogs or the rest, I mean, story with heist scenes, they really can't reach a very high level in terms of direction. I mean, it's always going to be the same type of storytelling. And Tower of God, I didn't see that, so not even missing much of it. So I think the vote pretty much lie on the left side of things again. I think Crunchyroll likes the left side. I give my vote to Kaguya-sama, Love is War, because the way they handle the comedy, the direction of the comedy. And I think at this point, I didn't actually watch Jujutsu Kaisen completely. The one reason why Kaguya-sama gets my vote. Plus, it's pretty much a no-brainer till episode 8, and you're just laughing and having a good time.
My point of view, in terms of direction, Sung Hoo Park is a genius. Jujutsu Kaisen. Only because I've read the manga for Jujutsu Kaisen. It takes an extremely talented director to, how to say, transition the hype from the manga into the hype of the anime. Because bad direction can cause can create terrible anime. Thunderer is an example. The hype in the manga was not transitioned into the anime, whereas Jujutsu Kaisen, yes. Honestly, you read the manga and you watch the anime, the hype, the strong feelings are there, the whole battle is there, the struggle is there. That's why I would my vote definitely goes to Jujutsu Kaisen Sung Hoo Park.
Yeah, what I heard from like a lot of the manga readers, at least on like Reddit and whatnot, all of them had the consensus that this is the first anime that like adapts the manga and does it better.
Exactly. That's why I would say it's not easy to transition elements of a manga to an anime, but the transitioning flow by Sung Hoo Park, amazing, just simply amazing.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about like transitioning manga to anime and it's done poorly, look no further than the Berserk series, am I right? That shit was just disastrous.
A director can make or break an anime.
Yeah, true. All right, best ending sequence. If it's not Lost in Paradise, why are we even here?
Exactly.
Yep.
Like,
wow. So everyone's in agreement.
Yeah.
All in favor for Lost in Paradise, say aye.
Galas. Next category.
Even though Great Pretenders had like cats and like the jazz theme, it did not compare.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had a whole, it had a different tone from the anime altogether, like something from Paradise Kiss or what.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this is the trickier one, which is the best opening.
All right, Paul, you're gonna start on this one first.
Yeah, I would go with Kaguya-sama Love. Wait, is this the second one or second opening or first opening?
Second one. Daddy.
Or
Daddy do.
No, if it were the first one, I would give my vote to Kaguya-sama, but otherwise I would definitely give it to Kai Kitan in Jujutsu Kaisen. It's my like main theme right now.
For me, like the closing OST for Jujutsu Kaisen is currently my ringtone. So for me, like I'm a bit biased towards that. But Bravoida, what would you vote for the best opening?
Am I the only one who actually voted for Daddy Daddy Do? I mean, it was such a good opening.
The thing is, but if you compare it to the first season, it doesn't match up. I mean, it doesn't live up to.
But it's still a good opening. Like, it was pretty catchy and stuff. I gave it to Kaguya-sama. So
yeah, but in terms of openings, you gotta give it to. I would give it to Jujutsu Kaisen only because they open it up. That's its opener for the first season. The first, only because I guess it has that intro factor.
Yeah. Okay. For me, I voted for Wild Side by Ali. No, I'm just joking. I didn't vote for that. I voted for Daddy Daddy Do, because Keitan by Eve was like pretty solid and whatnot, but anytime Daddy Daddy Do just played, I was like, fuck yeah, we're gonna laugh today. But definitely Wild Side did not get my vote.
I mean, if you listen to Daddy Daddy Do and like you start painting, you use the brush, you automatically it works for you. And like again, like how he said, like Omar said, like it's gonna be a good time and stuff. It works, man. It works.
I've noticed like the both of you are like always have like votes that kind of like butt heads a lot. Apart from like when you have something as stupid as like best drama, then we all like vote for essentially the same shit. Alright guys, we're now coming to categories that are going to probably test our friendships.
Dun, 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 dun. This podcast will be over before it starts.
I'm not editing this damn thing. How can you say that? Alright. Shall we start with best boy or best girl first?
I think we should keep best girl for last.
Yeah, okay. Let's go for best antagonist first. No, best boy first. Yeah, let's do best boy.
Best boy first. Yeah.
Best boy.
Alright. So we have Kaimon from Doreidoro, Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen, Legoshi from Beastars, some guy from Haiku. Who cares? Onos Voldigodo from Misfits of the Demon Academy, and I don't know why Tower of God is. So,
isn't that like the chick from
that's a chick.
Ruby?
That's a chick. This is best boy category.
I'm blind.
I don't know. I'm honestly no. That's actually me honestly asking.
No, that's a dude. That's a dude. Yep, he has shoulders. That's a dude.
Okay.
Okay, so for me, as cool as Goju was, I have to go with like Anas Voldigodo. He was just so fucking hilarious. Like he was like always so serious, but it always came off as funny as fuck. Goju like is on purpose funny and is on purpose badass, but Anas Voldigodo was just like I mean, come on guys. He was born and he named himself. He gets my one. Class. Fight me.
True.
Well, I voted for Anos Voldigodo because like if I would ever fall for anyone, it would have been him. All powerful, sure, man. Like, I'd be on top of the world.
Exactly.
And like for Goju,
like he's husbando material, right?
Exactly. Like Goju, I don't want to watch all Blu-rays with him. Like, come on. I'm pretty sure Depot chose Gojo.
No, I'm pretty sure he chose Legoshi. Yeah.
No, I chose Gojo. I mean, I find no faults with the guy. That's it.
Oh my god.
Well, as a guy, yeah, he's someone. I am biased in a sense that I aspire to be someone like him. OP badass, but also OP ridiculously funny. It's like he's like a second tier Deadpool.
Whoa.
You know, it's actually pretty interesting that Gojo and Anos kind of are like the same thing, except that Anos just doesn't know the meaning of the word smile and laugh.
Yep.
No, I would actually say that, to be honest, like personality-wise, Gojo has that, mystery thing going for him. So it makes him like a very appealing like character and whatnot. The problem with the show, the Misfits of Demon Academy, was that everything about Anos has been revealed to us. So there was like no mystery there. They were just like, why doesn't anyone remember him part? But again, like the way he says his name is just like so sexy. It's like Anos of Voldigodo.
Exactly. Okay, there's one thing that I'm gonna say that Poe's gonna probably disagree. Anos is sexy. Gojo is not. Like, I mean, like, look at his, like, like, he's stylish and even in this thumbnail, like, I don't know.
Memes and puns aside, I disagree with that wholeheartedly because Gojo is sexy as fuck. Okay, Anas is like a juiced up Kirito with a personality.
No, that's the thing. I don't disagree with the brush. Yeah, it really depends on what your view of sexy is.
Exactly. You could have like a good choice or the wrong one. Simple.
There's no good. There's no wrong or right. The thing is, Satoru Gojo has the kind of sexiness with mystique and appeal, but also a bit of humor. Anos Voldigodo is divine gentlemanness in a sense. So those are just two different types of sexy, and depending on your taste. I don't disagree that Anos Voldigodo is sexier in terms of appearance and overall how he holds himself is sexier than Satoru Gojo. But in my eyes, I like Satoru Gojo better because of his personality. But in terms of sexiness, yes, Anos Voldigodo takes the cake.
You know what would be funny as fuck? If Kaiman from Dorehidoro wins. That would just be hilarious.
You all know he's a middle-aged man, right?
So is Gojo. Anas Voldigodo. Okay, so the youngest in this whole category is Anas Voldigodo. He's like a couple of months old.
I'm gonna tell you my prediction. My prediction that the one who would likely win, the most unlikely one to win, would be Legoshi.
Oh man.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure the Haiku dude's gonna win because, like, let's face it, the only votes are gonna go to him. And
yeah.
That's
only
a sad reality.
Yeah, only because of ratings.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on from that depressing reality. Let's move on to the next depressing reality, the best girl.
Oh boy. I know Okay, so let me predict what you guys are gonna vote for. All right, I know Omar is gonna vote for Shizuru because he's a basic ass man. As for Poe, actually, it's a good question. Why? I think he's gonna go for. Okay, definitely not the Dorohedoro. Like you got all the stuff there if you want, but I think you both are gonna go for Shizuru.
Wrong. Wrong.
Really?
Yeah, my choice would actually go for the Dorohedoro one.
What?
Yeah, she is the definition of. She's the definition of the opposite of butterface. Yeah, she is the opposite of a butter.
Oh my! Could you zoom in this character if you can?
The fact that she's on the antagonist team, it's why it's so difficult to hate her. Honestly, in terms of pure sexiness, I would definitely go for Abigail Jones. But yeah, in terms of personality-wise, Noe from Dorohedoro takes my vote. It's just that it would be the opposite of a butterface.
I think Abigail Jones was a one-trick pony-ish character. Like, great design, a bit like Casca from Berserk, but like personality of like a one-dimensional character.
That's why Noe would be the opposite of that. Only because, and the fact that she's on the antagonist team, it makes it all the more appealing.
Interesting. Bravoida, who would you be voting for? Actually, let me just get mine out of the way. Mine's is Chizuru from Rent a Girlfriend. You were absolutely right about that. Mainly because, dude, the chick is awesome. Like, Kaguya-sama is nice, but Kaguya-sama is like so high maintenance. It's like you gotta bend the knee for her, like as if she's fucking Khaleesi, right? And then when you have like Noe, like yeah, exactly what Poe said. She is the opposite of Butterface, but I also like my dick to stay in the shape it is. And I already made my intentions clear about Abigail. And when it came to Katrina, she is as bland can be. So for me, Shizuru won mainly not just because like she was like the clear-cut winner for me, personal level. It was more because the character itself was designed to be one of the best girls. Yeah.
I don't know. Well, everyone has their preferences and whatnot. I knew you were going to say something like that, and I would just shut up and listen. I'm just going to leave it till there. So I'm going to say that Kaguya was the best from all these.
Your choice brush is Kaguya. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So legit, all three of us had different choices. Interesting.
Exactly. I'm actually shocked that Poe actually picked what he picked. And
No,
I just
can't confident that Poe was gonna pick Jones, Abigail Jones, but I'm also quite surprised because I was like, okay, that's like the most etchiest character there. Probably that's the one that he's gonna pick.
Yeah. I mean, actually, no. In terms of etchiness, it would be a tie between. I mean, I would tie it between Jones and Mizuhara, but yeah, not in terms of personality-wise, Noe. Yeah, I mean. In terms of the niche factor, yeah, she would definitely fit a niche category of etchiness.
I thought you were into bubbleheads, but I guess I was wrong.
No. There are all types, my friend. There are all types.
I see.
The thing is that I knew that we were gonna have like disagreements when it came to like the best girl category, but I'm quite surprised that it went by like without a hiccup. Like we were like, oh, I respect your choice, instead of going like, dude, you have shit taste.
Look, I could go that way. I can, but furthermore, episodes for the podcast, I think it's in my best interest to save that for later. I'm still like really.
Because Poe, what you need to understand is that, like, you know how like every anime, every now and then you have that hidden antagonist. Bravoida, the brush, is the true antagonist of this podcast.
I kind of got that from the first one. Yep. And I also could have made a comment like, it takes a real man to accept strong women.
Oh.
Yeah, to not be afraid of strong women.
Okay, dude, there's a difference between liking strong women and just wanting to be babied. There's two different aspects to this.
That's the thing. Nora's character is such that it doesn't feel dominating. That's the appeal of it. You don't feel dominated by her.
But
there's a difference.
But would you call her mommy?
No.
Look, let's face it, Po. I mean, the Po, you're just there for the Popeye. I mean, honestly, because
Well, yeah,
throughout this podcast, you've
he
been
has.
complaining on the fact that all our nominees are actually pretty petankos. But when the opening of the Opais came in, you're like, yep, it's time to click.
The one with the biggest tits, please. Yes.
I wish. There are other characters who are much better, but Noe has a personality. She has like eager first apprentice personality wise. That's why I would pick her. But she's so strong. She would take a not a bullet. She would take a bazooka hit for you.
Wow. For me, it's like the one thing that I feel about this list is there are like each of these shows had more best girl materials there too. I think they just went with like, since she's the main character, let's select her, because Kaguya-sama was cool, but for me personally, Chika and they both are like better than.
That's the thing. Dude, that's the thing. There's actually Noi is not the main protagonist. If anything, she's a secondary character. That's why I'm actually quite surprised at the quality of this list. I mean, I'm for terms of Dorohedoro. I mean, the protagonist is much more sexier and much more likable somewhat. But I mean, there's a decent depth in background for the main protagonist, the female main protagonist. But they put Noi on this list, which is why I'm surprised actually. So not bad.
Actually, I think that's the reason why there's less discord here, and because this is a very safe list, you would eventually respect the other.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
Man, damn it, Crunchyroll. We can't even have a proper waifu war. Fucking hell.
Yep. Oh, we will. Don't worry, my friend. We will.
All right. So best antagonist. We have Echidna, Overhaul, the guy from Fruits Basket. That devil dude Ryomen from Jujutsu Kaisen and from Dorohedoro, and Rachel from Tower of God. I think we all can collectively agree that Rachel is a class act bitch.
Goes for Overhaul. It takes a real bastard to torture a kid.
That is true. And I think they should have had the girl from Rent-A-Girlfriend, the main protagonist's ex-girlfriend, be in here, because I think that she was equally as bad as Rachel. Like complete slut.
Brush?
Okay, I do agree. Yeah, Rachel is pretty much... Rachel and Overall are kind of like in the same page. Like, they both are like that bad. But I think Echidna pretty much was the best antagonist, because at the end, we still don't know what she wants, really. Like, what was she plotting and whatnot. She was like my first pick, and my second pick was the Jujutsu Kaisen villain.
Oh, that's not a fair point, because Echidna is somewhat likable as an antagonist. A real antagonist is someone you really hate deep down in your guts. Echidna, even though she's technically an antagonist, I wouldn't mind having her as a wife.
Yeah, exactly. Like Echidna and both Sukuna, I felt like both of them were not really, like they were antagonists for this season, I felt.
Sukuna is actually quite evil. You haven't come to the part where he really shows off his evilness.
Because so far it just felt like he was that, that anti-hero that's eventually going to turn and become a good guy. And Echidna had that same appeal for me. Like my actual vote that went into this was for Overhaul, mainly because he was a villain through and through.
Actually, yeah, if you're talking about in terms of body count, Sukuna would take the cake. It's just that in terms of overall evil, I mean, like, takes really... I would say the difference between Sukuna and Overhaul is their methodology. Sukuna is actually quite fast, and wait till the anime gets to that part where he's fast and quick in how he kills. But Overhaul, yeah, that one that's a real bastard. Yeah, maybe the two types would be Overhaul.
Sukuna was like he's known like from the get-go as he's a bad person. So you had okay, expectations, he's a dick, right? But then when he eventually like helps out and stuff like that, that's a whole different story. But when you have like Overhaul, where you're like just sort of introduced, you're like, okay, he's a bad guy, but then he progressively does more and more dastardly things, and it's not like on a grand scale, it's more like on a more like narrowed down scale, and it's more on the spotlight. I think that's the reason why maybe the delivery of the show kind of convinced me that Overhaul was like a craptastic human being. Like Echidna for me wasn't an antagonist at any capacity for me. she's evil on paper, but
she's not evil.
Exactly.
Yeah, but in terms of like, okay, so Sukuna, like we know that Gojo can actually beat him pretty easily, right?
No.
So you know that this, and I mean that's what we saw in the first episode. Like that's what we saw so far in the anime, right? Now maybe in later on he might be stronger, but so far that's what we saw so far.
Yeah, if I put in any more info, it'll be too much of a spoiler.
Yeah, that's the point. Like you can sense maybe this guy would become once he get all his fingers, he might be something else, but like he can be cancelled one of our protagonists.
You gotta wait. Yeah. Definitely you gotta wait.
Exactly. As for overall, pretty sadistic, pretty cynical. But yeah, I guess in terms of like being pure villain, I think overall is like the better villain from all of them. The reason why I picked Echidna was because like A, we don't know what she wants. 2, we don't even know if there is a protagonist who can actually counter her. So that kind of does keep her in the open that we don't really know what she is. For now, she's on our side. She's not as menacing as overall. But I mean, her name is the Witch of Greed. Must have got it for some reason. And plus that last scene and like the second last episode where like there was that 360 thing and she was like keep on saying stuff that just gives me the chills even till now.
True, but but compared to the the Witch of Envy, Echidna doesn't feel that all devastating.
Exactly. Yeah. She just feels like an anti-hero that has her own agenda. That's all that she feels like.
Whereas the Witch of Greed gives a presence.
Yeah, exactly. Like compared to Echidna, or what's his name? The dude with the makeup in ReZero, I keep forgetting his name.
Roswell,
right? So he feels more evil than she does.
Hell, even Beetle guys feels more evil than she does.
Yeah.
True.
But like to each their own. Like what they see as a villain. It's just that I think it's interesting that Rachel is here not just because like she's written to be like a dick, but mainly because like she's here mainly because she's a selfish bitch. But yeah, my vote went to Overhaul. Just saying.
Same here.
Nice.
I'm guessing Bravoidas went to Echidna.
Echidna technically falls under waifu category if you ask me.
You sought me out, my friend. You sought me out.
Alright, so now we have best protagonist. We have the person who's supposed to be a villainess, Katarina, as one of the categories. We have Anas Waldegodo, who is also supposed to be a villain, but is a good person. I'm kind of sensing a pattern here. We have Itadori, who's supposed to be bad and is a good guy. And then we have the guy from Haiku, and Midori was a pretty interesting character in my opinion. He pulled a plot along pretty well. Natsumi from Decadence, not entirely sure. Didn't watch Decadence all that much.
Okay, so we all know that there's only one true protagonist here.
Exactly, Anas Voldegodo.
Exactly, my vote went to him.
Yeah, we don't watch the show for the show. We watch the show for him. I mean, he carries.
I mean, the show's named after him, the misfit of the Demon King Academy. I can't believe that all of us voted for Anas Voldegodo.
On the spot.
On the spot. All right, next.
Wow, that went really fast.
Like, we had a whole heated discussion on the antagonist. But protagonists, we were like, yeah, the meme guy works, bro. All right. Now we have anime of the year. So we have Jujutsu Kaisen, Dorohedoro, The Furry Gang. What?
Beastars.
Ranmani? Okay. Yeah. And then we have Keep Your Hands Off Izukin and Great Pretender. So the PA Works anime Apare Ranmani, I don't think it was in any other category, right?
Yeah, apparently not. No, it was in one other. I think it was in one other. I remember seeing this thing.
Okay.
Or it could be a flashback. I don't know.
So, I'm gonna be frank. ReZero should have been on this list. It is really surprising that it's not, especially given that Beastars makes another return over here. I mean, actually, Beastars, this was the first season for Beastars, so I guess that's why it's over there.
Yeah, that's the only reason why ReZero is not here. It's because it's a returning season.
I'll tell you why it's not there. The Great Pretender. It's in every list.
Yeah, the Great Pretender.
Why
is
the
in
hell
every
is it?
list.
I mean, it wasn't even that good of a show. I mean, let's be honest. No, it really wasn't. I mean, it was. I mean, sure, it was nice and visually presentable, but it wasn't the best. You know, not even top 5, I would say.
If you're
agree.
talking about season 2, yeah.
And funnily enough, that Dorohedoro and Jujutsu Kaisen are from the same studio. This studio, if it loses, shame on it. It had 2 chances in the category. But I would actually say that Jujutsu Kaisen was pretty awesome, mainly because like I watched Beastars and like till the middle of the year, I thought that Beastars was a pretty solid show. I didn't think that it would be the contender for like the anime of the year, mainly because I had more hopes that there would be more better anime coming out afterwards. And sadly enough, Jujutsu Kaisen was the only one that really like stood out, because Dorohedoro was cool, but like I was more entertained by Beastars. Great Pretender, I already mentioned that it felt very much like an Ocean's 11 or any other heist movie. So it wasn't exactly all that special. Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken is pretty cool, but if I'm going to be hyped to watch an episode, or if I'm going to be like prioritizing, like if both episodes for Keep Your Hands Off and Jujutsu Kaisen came out, I'll definitely be watching Jujutsu Kaisen. So that thing got my vote right there.
Brush?
Jujutsu Kaisen, same reason. Like, it was more hyped. It was more interesting than the rest of them. On value, on what we're seeing, like it had more battle scenes, interesting plots, way better plot than The Great Pretender or Dorohedoro. So yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen gets my vote.
Yeah, Crunchyroll was not fair on this one. Jujutsu Kaisen is on, well, next to Dorohedoro, Jujutsu Kaisen tops Dorohedoro. Mainly because, again, my reason is transition from the manga. Honestly, Jujutsu Kaisen does it so well. Dorohedoro, that's a different story altogether. Because the transition from manga, how to say, Dorohedoro as a manga, it has a different, how to say, if the overtone feels different when you read the manga. But when you watch the anime is so much better than the manga. Whereas Jujutsu Kaisen, honestly, the whole transition, they're both so good. So of course, Jujutsu Kaisen, we're all in agreement. Jujutsu Kaisen is the best here.
Yep.
Yeah, and mainly because personally, I feel that it's unfair that returning anime and new seasons of anime are not included in this, because over Great Pretender, ReZero made a shit ton of sense. And it's a fucking podcast. Stop ruining it. To be honest, compared to Beastars, this season of My Hero Academia was better than that.
Oh, My Hero Academia was way better.
Yeah. Why was it not on this list as well?
It's literally just nominated for the best fight. That's it.
Yeah. What
That's
the
all.
fuck?
Best fight and best antagonist.
Right,
I mean,
right.
if it got the vote for best antagonist as well, then why couldn't it get here?
Because I think in Beastars, you don't exactly have antagonists. You do have a protagonist, but there's not exactly an antagonist. It's more of a story-driven thing. But and it tackles a very different subject, because like My Hero is like, you know, the cookie cutter where it's like, you know, heroes, villains, all that jazz. Beastars is more complex, and Great Pretender gets to be mentioned because I guess Crunchyroll has a chubby for The Great Pretender, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be getting most of the vote. Yeah. Anyways, so I was actually expecting like us to like go over this like pretty fast, and then we would like talk about the other 3 anime, but now it's like our recording has gone for like over 2 hours now.
It did.
Thanks so much for watching our weekly podcast. We will be discussing more weekly content going forward for Otaku Headbutt. We'll be just watching anime throughout the week. All the anime from this season, we'll be discussing that next week. Links are in the description for all where you can like find the rest of us, either on Twitter, Instagram, and whatnot. And so we'll see you in the next one, guys.
Thank you for listening in. Remember, ecchi and opai is life.